it's me. It's Knockout 21 with another video game review. I have to straight out say it. I'm not big into RTS games, you know. I did play Herzog Zwei and Dune on the Sega Genesis back in the day, and those were pretty cool. But the whole genre didn't really interest me too much, mostly because I didn't really have a PC, you know, up until like 2001, and even then, I didn't really gravitate toward it. You know, it seemed kind of interesting, but it wasn't really for me until I played Command and Conquer on the PlayStation 1. So you got to understand that, you know, PCs were really expensive back in the day, and the first Command and Conquer I've ever played was on a PlayStation 1. And, you know, if I look past the fact that it was an RTS game and looked at the lore, the stories, the vehicles, and I just got hooked. Like, I became a big fan of the Command and Conquer series until EA got a hold of it and ruined it. But that's besides the point. There are a bunch of videos out there you could check out that explain it better than I could. Anyway, the game we're going to be looking at today is Command and Conquer on the Nintendo 64. Yes, on the 64. It's not the PlayStation version like the one I mentioned. I just found this copy, you know, for only $10 on my local mom and pop game store. I thought, you know what, I'm going to give this game a shot. I really was quite curious to see how this game turned out as opposed to the console versions. As opposed to the PlayStation version, should I say. Anyway, onward to the video. Now, what I like about this port is that it retains the same gameplay that was found on the PlayStation 1. The computer-controlled opponent behaves the same way and targets your units or base depending on the situation. As far as I can tell, it's just as difficult as any other port. You still have to build your base, protect it from attacks. Harvesters automatically pick up Tiberium for funds. Ultimately, you have to lead your troops to defeat the opposing enemy and finish the level. It's Command and Conquer through and through. Though my biggest gripe is that the game slows down considerably in later stages. As the maps become bigger, more and more units fill the screen. It doesn't dive into an unplayable state, but the gameplay definitely takes a hit. This is probably due to the Nintendo 64 limitations, you know, the processor or memory or something. Or it could possibly be a bad optimization. But yeah, this game definitely slows down in later parts of the game. Especially when the nuclear bomb is being used either by you or by the computer. Once that bomb hits and you witness it destroy your entire base or the opposing enemy base, yeah, it slows down to a crawl, and you're gonna have to wait till the whole animation finishes up before you can continue like playing the game. It's pretty bad. The one awesome thing about this port is that you can actually save on the actual cartridge as opposed on a PlayStation where you have to write down a password. To save memory, all the vehicles and buildings were converted into 3D models. My guess is that animating 3D objects uses less resources than loading a bunch of frames for a 2D sprite. But not only that, like the entire field is in 3D as well. It gives this version of the original Command & Conquer a unique look not found on any other port. Oh, and as you can see here, vehicles blow up in a shower of steel and fire. It's one little thing I totally love about this. And in case you guys didn't know, well, by looking at the screen, you guys already know that there is no blurriness on Command & Conquer 64. So everything is pixel sharp. There is dithering all over the play screen. However, it's not too much of a big issue, although it is noticeable at first. It's not too bad. However, if you do have an expansion pack, you could bump up the resolution to 4080i. I wouldn't recommend it, however. It slows the game down and definitely struggles big time in later stages. The option is there though, and I would definitely only recommend this is if you have a CRT lying around and you want to see how awesome this game truly looks. Not too noticeable on a flat screen, but definitely much better on a CRT. Music has surprisingly made it through with little compression. Most of the tracks are here, which I won't play because of copyright, but trust me when I say that most of it is here and they sound great. All the sound effects made it in through, as well as those voice samples. Though the voices sound slightly compressed, it's not too noticeable. Controls, well, I have to say it gets time getting used to. After using the PlayStation's D-pad for so long, adjusting to the Nintendo 64's analog stick did require some effort. This goes double for anyone that's used to using a mouse and keyboard. Strangely enough though, the cursor is in 3D as well, which might throw off your aim a little bit, but it's not too bad, it just takes a little bit of time to get used to. Unfortunately though, with all the praise I've given this game, sacrifices had to be made to put this on a cartridge. Gone are the in-between cutscenes, replaced with still images of Seth, General Shepard, and Kane speaking to you, explaining the mission objective, so on and so forth. Other scenes were also replaced with still images as well, such as Kane making the propaganda video and General Shepard addressing the press over some false allegations.
This is Greg Burdett, Bialystok.
Cut. Excellent. Now, do it again in French and German. I want 300 copies made and sent to every TV station in Europe. You have the satellite for another 10 minutes. Is that camera still running?
Audio during these scenes were seriously compressed as well. But it's not bad that you won't understand what they're saying. I'm just saying that it took a hit. The audio in these scenes definitely took a hit. Interestingly enough though, the victory segments were replaced with 3D renditions. However, it's the same scene again and again and again and again. Yeah, even though Nod and Jedi have their own scenes, they repeat. The only time it changes is at the end when the endings are rendered in 3D. Can't say that I'm not disappointed, but it's to be expected considering it's a cartridge.
Your efforts have landed us here, my faithful friend. The temple is complete, and we are about to embark upon our greatest exploit. Now relax, and watch as my netrunners dance through the web of cyberspace. Once inside, the world is at my fingertips. Begin.
Welcome to the Global Defense Initiative Orbital Defense Matrix.
So there it is, guys. Command and Conquer for the Nintendo 64. Awesome port, awesome game. What letter do I give it? Let's see. Yeah, I give it a lot of praise, but as awesome as this port is, there's a lot of shortcomings. One, the slowdown of the gameplay. Although it is somewhat bearable, it does knock against it. Plus, one of the defining features of Command & Conquer is the acting and the CG scenes. Having that cut out or pretty much downgraded to still images does hurt it. Now, I understand that this is a cartridge-based game and things have to be cut out, but they could find other ways. As for the CG scenes created in 3D, those were pretty cool, but there were only like maybe a total of 4 different scenes. GDI's ending, Nod's ending, and GDI and Nod's game win scenes. They could have done a little bit more in that aspect, but they didn't. Still, this isn't a bad buy. I do recommend it considering you can find this really cheap. And anyone that's pretty curious at how the game looks or wants to give it a try should definitely go out and get a copy. Anyway, this was Knockout 21. Please comment, rate, and subscribe. And like always, have a good one. Take care, guys.